going to go there with a little bit more spring in their step. Now, as it was sort of highlighted last time, well, that when these two teams did meet during the split during the season, it was sort of a Benjamaster and Dan-led brawl.
I was going to say it was basically a 1v5 though, because if you're looking at it, you know, everybody of G2 was very, very, very much negative on the kill department. It was just Benja that had like the 16 on 10 that kept them in it. I think on like, if you look at Virtus.pro, like Dan Shepard always positive, Joystick Pasha -1. So, you know, they were definitely in the kill game a bit more. So it's still amazing to see that somehow G2 was able to bring it to the way they were. Of course, a lot of credit to Benja's performance out there. But that's when we also start looking at, okay, but if back then it was just Benja performing and the rest not showing up, what kind of a game are we going to get if the entirety of G2 shows up?
I mean, they have been showing up more and more as well. I think when we saw them play on the Monday, that was some of the most put together Siege they've played. They went up against an M&M that were pushed aside because G2 were playing as a team. They were playing as a unit of 5 players. It's not something they've entirely been able to get together. However, being the first team that's broken the major curse over the past year and a bit, where they've won the most recent top trophy and then qualified for the next show, not even won it or put pressure onto it, but at least qualified. It's weird that that's a sort of curse that a team has had to break, but they are the ones to do it. Can they sort of keep that roll on and say, well, we're still ready for the top flight fight?
That's it. And, you know, with the fact that they came in within the first 2 spots of the Europe League already, that puts them in a position where, you know, they're not going to get first rounded because they don't play the first round.
It's for them, it's the technical first time they're fighting a team that is otherwise also qualified for Copenhagen, where they both know it. They've both come into this game now. They both sort of sit at each other and go, right, we're going to be potentially facing each other at the major. We're 2 now written in ink teams that are technically the best in the world at the game at this moment in time. Is an extra little bit of pressure, especially with the fact that they've already played not too long ago. They've already got a score technically to settle. Sure, you've got the best of 1, but who's got the best of 3? Well, let's find out here on Bank VP start. And as it was sort of highlighted, it's an okay G2 map, but it is a pretty good VP one.
And that will lead us into a what should be explosive start of this map. Now, I'm not going to be quoting the statistic on this specific site with G2 in the defense. Actually, I am going to do it. Back in the 6th Invitational, they only lost it a single time. So they know how to defend this map.
Never going to be able to stop you. Couldn't stop you if I tried. Yeah. As you said, it's that sort of side. It's the problems that come across it. And, you know, it's something where if you know there's a site where a team plays it very well, if you can take it from them, if you can sort of break against their metal on their favored place, suddenly you set yourself up for a very good jaunt around the bank here. And it's going to start with the jaunt and the pressure over the top. Joystick smashing his way around, all the way across, getting their rotations and getting the angles up to the hatches. They do like to play a bit of an extension into open. Sometimes you'll sort of see them tucked over the top, and as Pasha gets... Oh, the Gemini are very deep down green.
G2 really panicking as it walked through, of course knowing it's a Gemini, but that's a lot of information gained from Pasha. They're able to just walk up so far. Little rotations are being set up right now by Virtus.pro. They know there's no real pressure coming down on that first floor, so Joystick just has that free reign of doing whatever he wants with that sledgehammer, making sure VP players never have to walk longer than they should have to with those walls open up.
And now as the pressure comes over the hatches, they've got all their rotations to play against it.
This Surya laser gate just destroyed. Okay, no, so they disabled the Surya laser gate with the EMP. Then the electrification went on afterwards, I believe, to destroy the heart breach that was on it.
I'm not sure. Either way, Doki's the first gone. It's a very, very tight and narrow, and unfortunately, not the clearest picture on my end. I don't know if it's easier on yours, but...
No, it's very pixelated, but I mean, if we're dealing with it.
Yeah, Virtue goes down next. Second grenade, almost the second direct victim from the back of it. They might be able to get him back up, but look at this. Virtus.pro quick and hasty rotate round onto the back. They know what needs to be done, and they're making sure that they can sort of get it done. There's the pick back up, and you've got your 3 smoke canisters back. You've also got Dan getting Blur over the top. They're trying to creep their way through on the plant with a 4 versus 3. They finally get their first kill back in response. There's Joystick, though, still hammering home onto this site that was, as we said, their sort of backline bastion. They're going for the plant. They've tucked themselves all the way in. Alamau, he gets in the site, gets one in the kit. There's Pasha with the last, and Virtus.pro open up for the first round.
And as you mentioned, if they do manage to take rounds away from G2, if they're playing on lockers, that's going to be a very good start, because suddenly you win a round that a lot of other teams playing against them on bank have not been able to win. And now they have it. That's one on the board. G2 instantly swapping off, going towards staff room and open area, not wanting to stick around and try another time. Of course, that will come at some point. They will be going back towards the basement, probably in a round or two. G2 wanting to continue their rotation right now. Great round from VP, able to isolate the G2 players, just shut them down, not really giving them an opportunity to have an impact in the round. As a result, you know, you can just start playing the objective. And yes, G2 players will swing at you. It's what they're also known for. They're very good gunners. And yes, they will drop the diffuser, but if you're ready to go for a refrag instantly afterwards, that's not a big deal for you if you have that man advantage, like up by 2 or 3.
All right, VP, first round is yours on your map, the perfect start to a series. And one of the things that we've sort of seen from Virtus.pro is sometimes they're a little bit slow to get the gears moving at the very beginning of a map or a showdown. And we've sort of had them as that engine that kicks into gear and starts to chug and get more powerful and more pace as the game goes on. But getting that opener, and it was very pacey. The attention to where they needed to be, how quick they're able to move, the grenades and the response towards the pushes coming back from the side of G2 was very well put together here from VP. And as that drone gets caught out on the side, oh no, still got 1 for his use. Only 1.
It's painful losing a yokai drone like that. It was pretty well hidden, and like a drone up on the top as well. Like, the idea of it was to stay hidden for a long time and didn't just pop up and you know, get some stuns out. But losing that early on, it's definitely going to be very painful for the side of G2, having 1 left to play with now. Minute has passed in the meantime. Still plenty of time for VP to make stuff happen here. They're just holding off on some of the rotations, getting themselves in position. Of course, they want to be taking that top floor first, because as soon as they have that top floor, start working on verticality. As soon as you have that verticality, start limiting places the G2 members can safely play in, which will make it easier for you on the execute to just, you know, limit the amount of angles you actually need to cover on drops and just walkthroughs.
Pasha getting control of the top of white, hoping that someone pays him a visit on the swing around, but they're sort of prepped again once tucked on the hatches. They've got themselves all inside the side, put them soft. They could take a rotate underneath if they wanted to. They sort of kept them soft so they can't suffer from the other side of it. The angles above, Doki's hoping to get one as they rotate in on the door. It's always that might be the victim of this. Oh, and they are, Doki. Great watch, our observer. I know you're watching this from home and you've already got the catch, but perfect.
I guess for the observers as well right now. You just sit back and relax, knowing they've already spectated this game once before. Just like the players who have already played it. Great first bit. Now it's about keeping that momentum if you're G2 and making sure that you lock out the possibilities of Virtus.pro. Grenade comes around the corner. They'll be caught up by OMI discs, so not dealing any damage. But the second one about to be tossed in, I believe, from above. Pasha walking in as well, unaware of the fact that someone might be in the elevator. At least he seems to be checking it, but is he fully 100% aware? Yes, he is. Gets the kill onto Benja, not giving him the opportunity to fight back.
30 seconds, and Virtus.pro is starting to try and angle themselves around towards the stock hatch. They're making the statements, rolling the grenades to the back line, just getting the clarification no one's there, and there it is. Joysticks in, and Alamau is off. Doki with 1 back on the far side. There goes another for Doki. A triple for the round, but Shepard is sticking the kit with Joystick watching on the far end. Pops up round, goes for the swing itself, and it's a post plant with 1 more for Joystick. The impact over the top. The next whizzes on by. Doesn't quite get himself. The quick exit with Virtue getting 1. There's Shepard on the back. A 1 versus 1, but it's Doki from the top for the quad. Took the rotate, took the round.
Managed to rotate up just in time. They hadn't realized he slipped past. As a result, able to find themselves in a spot where he could clean up from top. Ooh, actually almost got caught up by the claymore that was placed on top of the staircase and square there. So, you know, that shows that could have been successful. By the way, 1-1 G2. Going to the top floor now. Having that first defense under the belts. It got quite close. The diffuser did go down.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as
And continuing onward. Now, this is a site that often requires you to bring an architect. Sometimes it's Castle. Sometimes it's Mira. Sometimes it's Asami. And sometimes you have the combination of 2 out of the 3. And that's what we're seeing right now. We see the Mira coming out. We see Asami coming out. Definitely going to be making sure that, you know, this is going to be a way more complicated site to go through. I actually really like to keep a barricade. They just set up on the couch. Again, sorry, we cannot really highlight it as it has been pre-recorded. But it makes the rotation a bit safer.
10 seconds remaining.
Like, you have the opportunity to just walk out of janitors. You saw it on the right-hand side. There you have it on blur screen. And it allows you to just, you know, use that rotation safely. You don't need to be worried about instantly being shot.
All right. Move on. 1 apiece, and G2 getting the perfect response. But as you said, in the words of Doki, it was close towards him not quite being in a position of, what do we say, power, and more in a position of, I got caught by a claymore. Here it is. On the side and the split. They're just getting their awareness. Virtus.pro, as I commented from before, they've been very sharp on their approaches here. They've had the awareness of what G2 seems to want to do on Bank, which is exercise their routes around. They go for swings. They sort of play around with a much bigger bubble of what they would consider safe than a lot of other teams, but you're seeing Pasha take heads on those routes on the way towards the site.
Ooh, what a shot mid-air onto the mirror window out there. Definitely something they did not expect to happen. That's going to be gone now. That's going to be one worry less for VP. Still 2 players up on the rappels, though. We're going to be trying to cut down as many of the G2 players as possible, especially if they walk out. But this seems like they have a bit of information of a player downstairs. Just somehow misses the opportunity. Benji makes himself to be known. Instantly rotates back off. Knows he's being chased by a drone. Doesn't want to lose his life yet. He was the carrying force of G2 the previous time these 2 teams met. He hasn't really had the impact yet.
Creeping his way up onto the back. He's in a bit of a dangerous position right now. He's looking for either side to offer him a head first, but it's not being handed to him. Doki gets the rotate out just before it becomes a little bit too dangerous, but still, Dan, this is that precarious position. All of them stacked up in the window as Bergen in the first always goes down. They still have the kit in a position where it can get picked up, but you think, you know, if it goes down, look at where Shepard is. He's on the other side of the map itself, holding onto the big windows. Joystick gets one back. Pasha's going for the hunt and finds Benjamaster below. They've got some control of the site, but there's Alamau getting Joystick. It is this trade game, this back and forth, and Pasha's inside the site, or underneath, as it were. But with Virtue getting Dan, now suddenly Shepard has to make a big journey to offer some support to his teammate.
Us, of course, having Alamau ready with these spectacles could stop any smokes to be used that Pasha still has available. So even if they are going to try and go for a cheeky plant, it is not going to be able to go through because Alamau just able to look through. They need to clear out janitors. That's what they need to find. Actually managed to get a shot onto Alamau, but the player prone on the ground, and Janitor actually finds the kill. Shepard coming across the corner through the barbed wire. They know he's there, and Doki shuts him off. Shepard falls. And G2 leading by a round.
A slight slip into the front foot there, and you could see that they were making things a bit awkward. Virtus.pro can be a bit slow at times. It's one of those criticisms that I think's been levied against them for as long as they've been in the game itself. They want to get everything sorted in. They want to get everything locked out, and Bank, it can have that as a safety, it can have that as a primer, but as long as there's space, G2 will opt to try and find it. Now they've got 2 rounds in a row. Can they go back to the site that is statistically one that they've been pretty good at before, as there may have been heroics in a quad kill that got them the first round. The second there that we saw was much more back and forth.
It definitely was. It was very back and forth. And, you know, last time G2 were here, they were picked up quite easily, not really being able to fight back. I mean, if you kind of look at Benja, he's got that 1 assist and 3 deaths. Solid currently has. The man was 16 on 10 the last time these two teams met. He'll be definitely keeping a good eye on him right now, making sure he doesn't really have that same impact. Probably have learned from their mistakes in that previous game. Luckily for G2, the rest of the team is slightly stepping up, but, you know, last time they were down here, they were basically handing them the round over towards Virtus.pro because unable to get any of those trades out, unable to put any pressure back to them. Just clean kills coming in all around.
What will be the change of face here? Are they going to be able to get themselves a bit of a lead in? There was a heavy hold onto Blue that sort of pulled itself away when things got a bit dicey. The couple of grenade kills that they lost inside the site itself. I'm wondering if... Well, there's the wondering answer, actually. I was going to see if Benji would try and hold on to open a bit longer. Did not intend for that fight to be extended.
The lead in, knows someone is coming up at the top. Doki finds the kill, low on HP though. Needs to go for an amazing shot or fall back over the staircase. He's gonna go for it, but shut down. Pasha with a very tight angle finds Doki, brings it back to a 4-on-4. Should at least 2 of those grenades stay in pocket from Virtus.pro after they just lost 2 already.
Pings coming out, the coordination on the player. Alamau with soft, went a bit fishing. Some intel there. Hasn't been handed to him. As I said, they'll try and piece their stories together as time goes on. Now, with the pressure coming out over the top, there is once again a game to be played here on this hatch. Look at that. It's prepared for the pull-off. They have the player underneath so it stays open. He's waiting to hear the plant. There's Benjamaster, but it has already been removed from the board.
Against laser gates on these hatches to waste an extra piece of utility from VP on opening up these hatches. Don't really seem to have too much issue with it. So Tomek onto the soft wall could theoretically be shot out, but no one really dared to try and attempt it. No one daring enough to attempt that, and that means that the wall has been opened up. Next order of business, though, is get rid of those mirror windows somehow. And how are you going to be doing that? Well, maybe land a grenade right behind it after an EMP pops up. So you destroy any piece of utility that might be out there. And that means that, you know, anything that could have been catching things like the ADS that's out there, now destroyed. Utility can now just fly through safely. Nothing to worry about. And Alamau, whilst he has a C4 prepped, well, there's still fire, there is still a smoke on the ground. They cannot really go for the plant just yet. And as they hear the box to be called,
trying it, he's trying it. The C4 will get shot out by Dan as the perfect cover, and we're in a post-plant situation. Now, how do you break your way through? Shepard with the fire, stop the rotate round as well. He couldn't get the extra. He wants to see if he can go fishing up top, but they've otherwise pulled themselves really far away. They kind of expected that move, and now they got to see if they can try and break expectations. Pasha holds onto the swing and holds onto the double for his 3rd of the round. And as I said, he's been very good so far at guessing and playing against the game that G2 loves to do on this map. There's the catch on Alamau, and there's Dan with the last. And a perfect play there. They took what they needed. Virtus.pro have shown that they have very much done their homework on this site.
Yeah, especially that side. And you saw it out there. There was still fire. There was still a smoke. As soon as one dissipated, instantly going for it. Yes, you can afford to take a tick or 2 of damage from that fire, especially if it's about to extinguish itself. And then the smoke canister not quite in a position, or not quite in position early enough to get the kill down. And then it's a post plant, and you're all sitting there inside that red hallway. You don't have any other control. Like there's just no way back from that. You're not going to be able to get all those kills, especially not if the top floor is also under control. So very well done by Virtus.pro. Just taking the bare minimum of what they need, not trying to go further than that. Just focusing on getting that plan down. That's what you like to see. But these next 2 rounds are also going to be important, because if it's still going to be a 4-2 split for G2, then it doesn't really matter whether or not they always win that side below, and they have it now, because, you know, if they win the tertiary side and if they win their secondary side, both on their attempts, it's still the same scoreline, still the same outcome.
Background to the top, and this was a heroic Doki round. That was the response previously, and it's going to be the Solus to see if they can try and set that up once again. The dangerous gun and the dangerous operator, especially with people's penchant for rappelling onto these windows whilst on cam. He knows always is tucked onto one corner watching. which sort of lowers the idea of we can't do this in there. He sees the explanation as to why he can't do this. Drone watching just round on the double door on the top of square. So joystick is free for this, and Dan finds blur free as well. There is the opening kill into their favor, straight through the window of the site itself, gets themselves whipped onto the back line. They're going to see if they can try and force this territory once again to clear the backside of the site.
It's always a very poor start if you lose at a player like that early on, like through the window, all the way at the end of it. You now lose Doki as well. Suddenly you find yourself in a 3-on-5 situation. VP so much time to play for. They're even aware of Virtu's position. The grenade just barely misses the mark right there. Deals a lot of damage, not quite the kill. But they don't really need it at this point, right? Like, they know where he is. They know there's only 2 people on the site. Still going to try and go for confirm, because why wouldn't you? That opportunity, still having someone out there, but there's only 2 players on the side. There is always the opportunity of VP to just go for it. If they ever run low on time, they could just literally try and get the kill out there. So the Gemini Replicator gets used now to see if they can actually get some extra information out on the horizontal side of things. Pasha misses the opportunity of spotting Benja there. Actually just found him. Things are probably going to be focusing on him a bit now.
Ooh. Virtue getting one. Wants to see if he can step into the next fight. They're actually on the other side, and they're just going to peel themselves away and wait for some support. Again, it's an isolating position that you're playing. On that window, you think how separate you are from everybody else. Pasha on the lobby, and then the kit in the hands of Shepard on the big lobby windows, 2 last seen. It's 3 very, very different locations, 3 very, very different spread out positions, and you have to make sure that if you act, you're acting almost as a unit for the support from far opposite ends. Pulls himself back, 45 seconds, and Dan getting his 3rd for the round as a perfect response to the play before. The C4 pops off, finds always. And with 30 seconds, Dan's going to see if he can get a 4th for his tally. It's Pasha on the door fight against the pillar side itself, wins it out. Suddenly leaves nobody as Dan does find his 4th. And, well, now we have this continual back and forth, really coming in blow for 2 teams. As we said, there is a familiarity, there's a history here, and there's now a 3-2 with a G2 timeout, a time for a conversation.
Yes, because they're now on the verge of losing the half, right? Like, they're expecting this to be a 4-2, and if that doesn't happen, it needs to be a 3-3. And that means that this round is very crucial. You need to make sure that you're taking out this win here right now as we speak, because otherwise that second half is going to be way more difficult for you to deal with here. So, as they have that time to talk, we certainly do not get to see their faces this time. They have a choice to make as well. What side are we going to go to? We're going to go back to lockers. We're going to go open area. We're going to go CEO. It's always the question they have available to them now. Full availability for them, and it seems like CEO is what they're sticking with. So continuing that rotation, playing every side twice at least.
I mean, you've got to, at this point, you've got to sort of keep the game live, because it's not that they're entirely being brushed aside. And it's always worth remembering, this is where Virtus.pro wanted to come. It's a best of 3. It's not that you're up against an inexperienced team, regardless of the fact that there is, you know, changes on the team, and it's still a long history of these players with what can be a deep match. Well, this is them going to the one that they believe they can beat you the best on. So, seeing if they can try and keep themselves just level, just on that 3-3 half, even if this map doesn't quite come to their favor, moving into the potential slower, heftier map of Skyscraper, one that they really enjoy playing, and one that they know that they can, well, Virtus.pro can lose on. That's the easiest way of phrasing it. Rotate round on the opposite end. Benja finds himself a little pocket of safety, and that is that benefit of the soul. This is not just hunting, but also avoiding and playing a bit of keep away.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, you have the opportunity to either hunt the drones or to avoid them. And avoiding them is sometimes even more deadly than taking them down. Of course, like, taking out these drones always helps in the long run, but well, never mind. It's just Benja picked up by Shepard. We've all the theory crafting just out of the window like that.
Yeah, take those notes and throw them in the bin. There it is.
Oh, well.
A Q barricade will go up onto the top and buy themselves a little bit extra safety, but Benja, for all that he did in the best of one showdown that they had against each other not too long ago, has been entirely shoved off of the map by Virtus.pro so far.
Just that single kill he has and a single assist, it means that you've only like hit 2 players so far, I think. It's just very painful for him to play that way. See if he can still lean back into it in that second half, though, because this one is over for him. He's on cam duty right now, just trying to provide as much information to G2 as possible, who are still trying to salvage out a 3-3 even split on this half. Because they want to make sure they get that first round. Again, it's not direct qualification for fighting. That's the kill. Yep, that blur taken out cleanly by Pasha.
No
there.
avoiding that.
As soon as he went prone, that was over.
Yeah, I mean, it's well rehearsed. You got to think of where he was. He was right behind the core wall where he's been able to get kills from before. The last time they were here, he was actually the opening person to get a kill. So shut down the position, do it in a slightly different way where they were able to wrest control underneath a 5 versus 3. And there's the swing round. They don't quite get the full drop on the player. That was potentially the kit knocked out as well. They do get the end of it, but Dan gets one back. A 4 versus 2. And as the blinds come towards him, they're just going to click on the glasses and protect them from the door itself. They're trying to find anywhere that they can swing. And there's Dan for the end of Doki. The pop-up, the shot round, but 4-2 here as it comes through for Virtus.pro. They're keeping themselves driving wheel here, and there's a lot for G2 to try and piece together on their attacks.
There's a lot of ground they need to make up, and it's only 2 rounds of a difference right now, but again, they need to go for a 4-2 split themselves to go to overtime. 5-1 split if they want to take this map, just straight up. And VP starting off on lockers and CCTV themselves as well.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Going
the
to
bomb.
be attempting to do what G2 could not, which is to take that victory. But I said it at, I believe it was round 4 when it started. It's like, it's great, you won lockers and CC twice, VP. You need to do it on the different sides as well, which is exactly what they did right now. Managing to find those 2 rounds. Absolutely crucial for the remainder of this map.
G2, how do you bring yourself into this now? You bit of a back foot, use your tactile now. You've only got the game ahead of you itself. And, well, they're getting themselves that aggressive hold, the extension over to open, the play round and the drop, and
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
we'll see if it can be something that otherwise threads it. The double lock, the full rotate around. They've got the echo, they've got the hands off. It depends how punchy G2 are feeling. Pretty. As Alamau instantly starts hammering itself all the way down towards the back end, right towards the side of that hat. They're just putting a bit of fear in them. They're sort of saying, look, you know we're coming for you. And Pasha says, yeah, we know.
No need to worry, right? We know we come in. That's kind of your goal as attackers. You just put some extra keeper barricades up. Your bullets won't hurt me that way. Of course, their goal is to hold out onto this top floor as long as they possibly can, and maybe even deal some damage, get a kill on the way out. Because they still have that one hatch they can drop through if they need to. Of course, you don't want to do that too early. You want to make sure that you hold control for as long as you possibly can. And as right now, VP is receiving some pressure. The fallback comes through. They're turtling down on the side. A minute has passed. It's little time compared to what we usually see from G2 back when they used to fall back. That was always on like the 1 minute 15 mark, 1 minute 30 mark. But the Yokai drones are going to be making sure there's at least still some worry. Just getting those stuns out when there's no one there to follow up, it might actually make G2 believe that someone is there to follow up at some point.
Well, with the minute 30 falling past, you can see the Echo drones rolling back into sight as well, and that's the physical gesture of pulling their hand back and sort of saying, yeah, we've wasted enough time elsewhere. They still got to get control of the hatch. They still got to get control of pretty much the rest of it. And there's Goyos. There's watches over on the site. There's the break and the angles towards it. There's still a lot of humming and hawing G2's going to have to do, and the longer it goes on, the more that those pocket utilities, the C4, the 3 smoke canisters, the Goyos that you can start to hear maybe get popped sooner rather than later, it just gets more and more dangerous.
We're getting ready. Some damage being done with the 416. 2 shots to the chest, and it's a guaranteed kill. So Dan losing that much damage, basically hit by a single bullet. Grenades flying in, hoping to find something. And they're on the other side directly, not fully cooked either, but it's just to keep them out of the hallway just for long enough so G2 can start doing some preparative work. Clear out the fire, make sure there's an opportunity to go for the plant soon, waste out these smoke canisters, of which there's only one left with 25 seconds on the clock. But the big worry is it's a 5-on-5 situation. I mean, and that means they could just start throwing bodies at the problem on VP's side.
I mean, that's it. And look, the Echo drone is there. They're watching from the hatch itself. The smoke canisters, as I said, with all of this still alive, what do? You lose. Down with the C4 onto Alamau. The Echo drone comes in. It just has to head up to the roof. It will get the first knock, push them off. A second left. They've got to see if they can stick it. Virtue has to cover, and Benja does get one, but there's Shepard. I was about to say, maybe I was going to eat my words, but really it would take a lot. Love the EMP that was thrown there, just in case.
Just making sure that if there was another C4 to fly through, it wouldn't have gone off at that point. But I mean, the Echo drone already did its job, managed to stall enough time and allow the Echo player itself to just move up. Shepard there to pick up the kill. And VP to find themselves at a 5-2 scoreline now. 2 more rounds in the lock of the very first map. They are very far ahead on G2 compared to the previous time these two met. And the carrying force of G2 that was there the last time around hasn't really shown up yet. Just made his second kill of the game. But overall, VP really have been just numbers so far. Been able to just shut him down, neutralize him before he becomes too problematic. Like on the last defense round, we saw him just playing a little side off as a solace, trying to avoid as many drones as possible. But they were aware anyway and just shut him down from the windows. So VP did their homework, know exactly how to counter him and how to counter G2 so far.
Oh, it's starting to slip a little bit further and further away. G2, obviously, it's not their map, and it's a best-of-3 series. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's something that they've got to sort of keep a hold onto here. And the danger, though, is that, you know, Virtus.pro can warm up. They get heated up onto the map. Skyscraper will be good, because naturally it will slow them down a bit and not give them the pace. Here, though. Let's see if they can try and get that slightly sharper response onto this round. As I said, you know, we had 30 seconds left and every player still standing with pretty much every bit of defensive utility still in pocket as well.
Rand is getting some pings here. Something he can work with. Throwing out a grenade. Wants to open up the castle barricade so Alamau can go through, I believe. Let him lead in. Let him be the face of that attack. Big giant shield that is impossible to penetrate with your bullets out there, so just let him go for that scouting role. Now, whoever was out there from VP already has left, so there's no need to worry about any other players out there, and VP doesn't have to worry about losing someone early on. G2's now realized that and are going to try and repurpose themselves to see if they can push the B bomb site. Plant right behind the bomb chassis on that kitchen and make sure that 45 seconds are going to be on the clock. Now, both of these electric claws have been pinged, so this EMP is going to be stopping that from happening. Instant Selma on it. It's just going to be making sure that it opens up.
Yeah, I mean, they doubled down, but you know what you've got to do here, and that is get this wall open. It's the most important part of this push. There's obviously the castle, which means that they can't swing entirely, but look at the player on the top as well. You've got one sitting inside CEO. They've got the pressure, potentially going to come back over the top, and that's where they're going to go hunt them. Dan has an angle, and they have to be cautious of it because Dan has been tearing fights across. There's Virtue to get the important take. Joystick stuff's a little bit inside the site as well. They've lost one body. There's a lot of time. Always was trying to find a fight, but just saw one of the problematic two up top. With 50 seconds, with one body, and with the opening done, can they try and get the remaining player of Pasha tucked out? I'm not sure if the hatch is open next to him. Maybe we'll get a taste. You assume he'll have a chance at a drop.
At least he has a C4 available, and I believe he's also running the TCSG, so can open up the hatch if the need is really there, if it's not reinforced. Always the opportunity to fall back. I think they're just going to try on G2's side to try and get behind the bomb chassis, go for a plant there. And Monty's going to play a crucial role with that, but Blur almost losing his life as he was trying to provide some cover. Alamau finds himself in the middle of the site now, but what are you going to do? There's still 2 players watching you. One gets taken down. Benja finds Basher. Virtue coming in on the opposite side as well, but gets tripled for it. And does go down, no, does not to get denied by Joystick, and that means the time might be running out.
Blur down on the door, and a bit of a tragic moment there. Doki picks it back up. It is just Doki holding onto F. Do they know the player's down? Will he finish this in time? Doki with the hop up. Doki can get the kill! Well, that almost went into a nightmare tailspin there for G2, and they just held on.
The plans just being cancelled. Someone going down, able to just recover the diffuser in time, and the VP player being just too far away from being able to actually get on top of that counter and stop that plan from happening. That hang on to, like, you would say multiple threats, but it was really just one threat, and it was about to snap for G2 out there. VP almost able to turn that around. Keep it to go their way.
I mean,
Too close for comfort. Multiple times.
From what was that sort of, let's say, a 4 versus 2, and be a bit kind, they lost one body on the back, going down as the cover in the door, just getting themselves in position to get that trade out as well. Oh, it's always that moment, and it would have obviously put you in that 6-2 position. They hold on, and it should have been their round anyway from where they were at, so let's say hold on rather than clutched out. But skin of their teeth couldn't be more of an apt description there. G2, they keep themselves off map point for now.
CSG having some struggles opening up the wall. We'll find it eventually. It's a nice little slug shotgun, big scope on it. It's always nice to see those snipes, especially with the suppressor. Very satisfying sound. By the way, good drone for a second. It's been just taken out. Benja trying to go for a quick response, but unable to quite get the connection he was looking for. Now, I believe has been opened up just to allow Doki some quicker play out here. Sure, there is someone out there to cover, stop any jump outs from happening as well. Not that VP has been looking like they want to go for those, but you know, better be safe than sorry.
I mean, they still safe than sorry seems to be a gambit that they'll still pay. Dan, terrifying force throughout the entire run of Virtus.pro to be where they're at. He's at that level where for a long time, you know, we hadn't really seen full danger Dan. I think this is it. And then you sort of see the stack up Joystick as well. Pasha having a fantastic game here on the opener of Bank. And we talk about the sort of strength of the gunners. That's the worry we haven't quite had from G2 today that we had from them on Monday.
No, for sure. Of course, there's also less at stake. We always have to remember it. Yes, still a side point. Yes, still first seed. Yes, still an extra 10,000 euros. But at the same time, you are both qualified. You're both in the same stage. You do not need to show everything now. You can already start preparing for Copenhagen. Not saying that's the case. Just saying there is a lot less pressure on this game compared to the M&M Wild game we just had. Now, moving on.
Yeah, creeps his way forward. The Nook playing a bit of the surprise strike, and they haven't quite been the strike that they wanted. Alamau goes down. And there's the heavy hit over the long side. Virtue couldn't quite get it, and wow, you blink and you missed all of your teammates being removed from the board. They fully know where Virtue is. And I mean, that was just 3 engagements, 1 across the board there. Virtus.pro, they didn't even really have to shudder and shake too much to get into it. That isolating factor of this map I talked about. Look at this, the C4 prepped. There's 1, there's 2. There's
another impact ready. I'm gonna see that maybe. I don't know. They know where he is. They're just going to hold him off. Like, there's nothing he can do at this point. Basha just walks in, gets the kill, flawless round. And with that, we will find ourselves with a VP map point on the board. Very casual map point coming out from VP there. Very, very, like, low stress last round we've seen from them. Like, it starts off with taking out the ace. That's a big blow already. The ball actually gets tricked, so you don't even get the full like sight of Kento. Like 3 gunfights go your way on all opposite sides of the map as well, and at that moment you're just hunting down that last person. You're not really in there any amount of stress in that last round. And I'm sure that if we would see their face cams right now, like we usually do, there would be absolutely zero emotion. It's just continuing, you know, just another day at the office, no stress, never in doubt. Just keep going on.
Just chilling.
Just chilling.
I mean, Virtus.pro, they've just sort of come into this saying this is our map. It's good to see this team play, I think, this fluently, because we've obviously seen these players from the heights and the slight roster change that it was when it was the runners-up and SI, albeit but a year ago, to missing out on a stage, missing out on a position, to coming back around. This is the strongest they have seen. It has been a fully upwards trajectory from that point onwards back again, and you know, G2 hitting them at this stride. It says good things if you're a Virtus.pro fan and an EU fan coming into the major, but if you're a G2 fan in this game so far on Bank, it's a bit riskier. Alamau takes the head off the joystick and gets himself a little bit closer forward. Pasha still rebuilding inside the site itself. Look at this. Much quicker pressure here from G2. Oh.
Guns are coming out as well from the Yokai. Pasha debating now whether or not he should drop or still stay out there, and thus decides to drop even quicker than in the last round. Of course, lost joystick. Bit of cover, a bit of extra support out there, and you know, don't really want to be losing an extra body there for no apparent reason. Actually, when Alamau now takes them down as well, really doing some great work there with the Twitch DMR. Hits like a truck. Truly in his hands. Just saw where joystick died as well, close to the hatch. It's a very long angle, probably just pre-fired, opening up that window, finding the connection. And now G2, you're in a 5v3. You have 1 minute and 40 left on the clock. Plenty of time to start wasting all the utilities still in the hands of Virtus.pro. 2 Yokais, 3 smoke canisters. That's literally going to be it. So you cannot lose this one. Like, okay, you should not lose this one. They can definitely lose this one, but they should not lose this one.
Holding on close and waiting to just get a bit of punishment here before they rotate down. They want G2 to be a bit overzealous. They want to try and hoist them by their own pacey petard, as they're still trying to apply that towards the site and the pressure. They're angling themselves up. Blur will be on a mission to get the plant down with a minute. An Echo drone getting a stun and a smoke canister. You can see Virtus.pro is sort of playing their hand. They have to a little bit earlier. Doki does step into the territory. Pasha is now moved off and handed on. Gets a great take onto Benja, but didn't expect Alamau right on the corner. Alamau keeps hitting. Can he get the 5th for the full ace story? It's a scrappy fight over gold. Doesn't. Doki just gets the cover, but Ernest Alamau had gone down, and that is G2 finding another round, keeping themselves alive at least for one more step.
Keeps them in that game, most importantly. 6 rounds on VP, 4 on G2, 2 more, and you find yourselves in that overtime situation where suddenly you can flip it, and suddenly you can be the ones leading into the second map as the victors of the first. Because that's, of course, what we're playing for here. Just trying to get that first map under control. Just alleviates a lot of stress in the best of 3. Because if you now lose this one and you have to, you know, play 2 more maps to win it, any mistake could be very detrimental. Besides that, we're going to open area. We're seeing the frost being used, set up underneath the main window, underneath the hatch that often gets dropped. Seeing the openings being made above the wall, so we do not purely rely on only the electro claws, but there's also the opportunity this time around to use impact. Because that's how they opened up last time. They sent in the drone, they realized where the electro claw was, they used the EMP impact to instantly follow up with Selma's, and at that point there's really nothing you could do anymore. Yes, you can throw an impact right after the first one blows up. There's still a giant hole in that quad wall they can use to find themselves a line of sight through the site. You want that bird to prevent that from happening. And of course, it opens it up to be prone to grenades as well, which could take out those electro bars. But I guess that's just a risk they're willing to take on VPs.
G2, everything to play for, and I really enjoyed the pace that was applied on that previous round. If you can get yourself into overtime, if you can sort of you can get yourself one further and take the map, that really puts Virtus.pro in a danger situation. Dan just slips and slinks his way out, waits for the shooting to stop, and re-barricades towards the top. Around the top white can push towards Kanto corner. It's being watched, at least for the cover of anyone that's trying to get it open as well. So they have a bit of time. They have a little bit of swing there. And talking of, Doki wants to swing his way through. Benja trying to offer some support in the upper square.
Moving in. Still not having the best of games. Hoping to find himself in it. Because it's always, you know, better late than never. Because there's still an opportunity to bring this back. Still an opportunity. Okay, never mind. Beautiful shot from Dad. There's also the Frostmat that will catch off Alamau. It's not going great for G2 on this very, very important round where basically this entire map is on the line. I mean, Benja just getting his head removed from the opening that I thought was only there for impacts, being used to actually use guns through as well. That's a nice twist of events out there.
Precious starts to look its way at the top the cross of square with Shepard waiting for the chance to rotate round underneath. Remember how the push came together on quad wall last time? That's the position that Shepard wants to be in. It's often droned out. It's not an entirely risk-free place to play, but being there means that G2 cannot quite go for the same straight take that they might have otherwise wanted to. And to be fair, it seems like they want to opt for the stock side instead, but without the removal of the players in the corner, with the loss of Benjamaster and 2 of those grenades, it's going to come down to this, the reliance on guns and swing on the back. Doki, here's a bit of that reliance. This second grenade will be used on not the castle, and that's a big blow. Look at Shepard on the back end, slow creeping up round. He's ready for the swing. Doki's not ready for him.
Just a free kill to come through. 20 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser is in hand for Blur. He smokes himself. Not very helpful. They're actually not going to be smoking out the Frostmat there. So if he drops, he might actually catch himself inside the Frostmat. Somehow still survives. Walks out. The last man standing. 8 seconds left on the clock. He needs to find kills and get that diffuser down. It's fair to say that won't happen. Pasha shuts him down, and it's G2 that lose it, and VP that lead 1-0 right now.
It's a good first map for Virtus.pro. They got themselves set up with all the statements that they needed to say this is our map. It was not the biggest distance for them, but it was enough for them to really set the pace here and get themselves prepared. I mean, Pasha and Dan, between the pair of them,